ankles, knees and hips. We'll work on them a little bit today, so we'll add that all in together at the end for a little Friday Foot Club challenge. So flexion and extension, or pointing, and that should come from the ankle joint. Did a little bit of that in the last video as well. So we'll do that first, and then from there we'll do some rotation in and out, pronation and supination in and out, or rolling the ankle in and out. So trying to roll out towards the ankle and in towards the inside. Now our foot should be able to do both of these. Some of us roll more out, some of us roll more in, so you may have to work on the other direction of those. And then from there, rotation at the knee. So the knee joint should be able to rotate slightly in. You'll be able to see this on your own knee, that the bone in front here will rotate in and then rotate out. You'll also see some movement at the ankle. See the same bones run to down there. So trying to get that to roll in and out. And then flexion and extension of the knee joint. So pulling that in and straightening it out. So we do about 10 of these. Breathing out as we straighten. Two more. And then from there the hips. So the hip joint should rotate in and rotate out. So ideally we can rotate from within the hip. Rotate out and in. The hip joint should also be able to pull the leg inwards and pull the leg outwards. So trying to get the hip to pull the leg in and out. And back down again. And then the hip should also be able to extend backwards and forwards. We'll do that on the other side in a moment. So starting off with the other leg, pointing and flexing. From the ankle. You can always assist, and then to point assist, stretch the ankle like that. And then our rotation in, or rolling in and out. And then from the knee joint, so rolling the knee inwards and outwards. Now, if you've ever heard of anyone doing their ACL or cruciate ligament, basically they're the ligaments that hold the knee in place. And if you tore one of them, your knee would obviously be able to move too much. So we need to keep them moving, but we don't want to obviously overstretch or overstrain them. That can happen if you twist your knee. So you may need to strengthen them if that's happened. And then extension and flexion at the knee. Now, holding it here, we'll obviously get a little bit of a hamstring stretch thrown in for good measure. Breathing out as we straighten the leg out, and using the stomach muscles to hold ourselves up here as well. Two more. And then bringing the leg in and out. One more. And back in. From there we'll do the last one, the extension. So coming onto the side, extending backwards, squeezing the glute, and flexion forwards at the hip. Extending back. You can also do this lying on the floor. Extension back. Make sure we have the stomach muscles engaged so we're not extending into the lower back. And last one there, we'll do the other side as well. Flexion at the hip and extension at the hip. You can have your hand against the lower back if you're not sure what's going on there, and have the oblique muscles pulled up here to hold ourselves if we're on an elbow, Or as I said, you can do this lying on your side, head down as well. And back down. From there, we'll come into rotation inwards in a different way, so lying flat down onto our back and twisting the knee, so feet a little bit wider, inwards. Now as we do that, make sure we're not rolling the hips, so keeping the hip bones steady, so stomach muscles engaged, back pull to the ground, and twist inwards at the knee. If you let the back follow, it'll look like that. There'll be a lift and a twist and everything will lift up there. So keeping that down. And then there should be potentially a bit of a stretch at the outside of the hip. And we'll do this one other way. Bring the knees up. And then twist the feet outwards. Now you'll get the added bonus of engaging the stomach muscles. So twisting the knee outwards. Or the feet outwards, the knees actually inwards. You can also do this by squeezing against something. So a towel or a cushion works quite well. Yoga block. And we do 2 more. And then the other direction, heels together, knees apart, pulling the knees in and straightening them out. Getting the knees to turn outwards. Stomach muscles engaged. If you want to make this harder, add in the head and shoulder lift. Make sure the chin is slightly tucked down. Breathing out as we straighten out. Oh yeah, 1 more. And back down again. Head down and then feet down. Now we'll bring the feet together and separate the knees and then bridge up. Keeping the stomach muscles engaged and back down. So again, rotating outwards at the hip. Breathing out as we come up, in as we come down. Ribs pull down. If they don't, then they end up here. So keeping the ribs down. You can do that by pulling them to the ground just before you start lifting. And then don't lose that control that you have through the upper stomach muscles. Glutes to do the lifting, otherwise we end up lifting at the ribs rather than the hips. 1 more time. And then from there, picking the legs back up again, straightening them out and crisscrossing them. Getting those inner thigh muscles to pull the leg across. Again, if you want to make that harder, lift the head and shoulders up. And then from there, 1 more each way, we'll take the legs out as far as they go and back up. Now, as we go out, try and pull out from the hips and back up. And again, you can do this with the head up or down if you prefer. Breathing out as we pull them back up. One more time. Bend them in, head and shoulders back down. Hip flexion. So we bring the knee up, and we'll do it passively for a moment. Bring the knee all the way up with your hands. And then tense the muscles that should hold the leg there. Take the hands away, check you can. And that's your hip flexion in there. Now you can hold that, or you can straighten it and pull it back in. No hands. Breathing out as we pull it back in. On the way out, we start to feel the glute muscle pull the leg down. So if we tap the foot down, that should be the glute muscle pulling the leg to the floor. And then switching sides. Again, that's our range, so we can get our leg to this position. Now we'd like to be able to get it to this position from our own strength. So tense up the hip flexors and hold it there. And then from there, straighten and bend. Start by working the front, and then we'll add in the glute extension by tapping the heel to the floor. keeping the stomach muscles firmly pulled down. Last one there. From there we'll do a set with the head and shoulders lifted. So bring the second leg up, make sure the lower stomach muscles are on. Lift the head and shoulders. Get the shoulders into a nice strong position so they're not tucked up under your ears. And then pull one in, one leg in, one out. Tapping the heel to the floor. Or if you have a cushion, you can put that under your heel so you can press down through the cushion. Breathing out every time the knee comes in. So there's a small breath in as we switch. One more. And back to the middle. Head and shoulders back down. We'll just bring the knees in for a moment. So we don't have to use the stomach muscles. And you can just roll a little bit left to right as well, just to ease out into the hips. So if you've got some tightness in there, you can pull that across. Or if you have some tightness over the glutes, you can pull that in a bit more. From there, coming up onto one hand, knee and hip, and we'll use the side muscles to push ourselves up, as well as the side hip and back down. Breathing out as we pick up. One more as we are. Then from there coming up and tipping ourselves sideways. Now it requires us to have some rotation at the hip here. So if you find that really difficult, you can be up on something higher underneath your hand there. And then straightening out the other leg and picking it up and tapping it back down. Breathing out for every lift. You can also spread your little toe and just get a connection from the little toe up into the hip. Back down. We'll switch that over to the other side. Hand, knee and hip. Pull the shoulder back so you've got good connection to your shoulder, and we'll pick up. So there's some oblique muscle, and then the side of the hip pushes up the rest of the way. Do adjust your hand there if you need to. Breathing out as we pick up. Breathing in at the top, which means you have to stay here long enough to breathe in and breathe out to come down. And that gives you a moment then, if you're breathing in, to readjust something before we breathe out and come back up. One more. Slightly adjusting our position then to bring ourselves onto a knee. So you can come up into a kneeling and then tip sideways. And kick the leg out to the side and pick it up from there. Now you might find it only lifts a very small amount. So it will start to lift more once we start to feel our hip joint working a little bit better. So go back to some of the other ones if you find that this doesn't work, and just rotate from within the hip. Or open and close the legs. Or do the little side lifts, lying straight down. Two more here. Spreading the little toe if we want for that last one. And back down again. And then hopefully all that will get us to do the Friday Foot Club challenge, which is coming next.